it was just the penny dropping moment, which is that wasn't that I didn't know I was in such a bad place, but I didn't want to admit to myself that I was in a bad place. It's like I said earlier when my dad said, I think you're very depressed. And even though I knew that I was lying there, and we lived next to a train station and see the trains from my room, and I do remember lying there and just being like, I just wouldn't care if I was lying in the trains. And I wasn't about to do something, and I say that with like real understanding that this is a very emotive topic, but I didn't care anymore. I really, really, really didn't care. But I just couldn't admit that to myself. I couldn't admit how ill I was. I just couldn't, I don't know. I just struggled so much to own it, basically. And it was that night where I think because I couldn't admit it, I just hid from it. The numbing out we were talking about earlier. I didn't talk to people. I didn't try and go out. I just watched TV at home. I didn't put myself in situations that would almost be hard. And so it was the first time in doing this trip that I'd almost tried to actually do something and actually live my life in a year. And in doing that, I realized I couldn't. I really couldn't, and it was kind of screamingly obvious. And so I couldn't sleep at all that night, and I was just everything that had happened had dawned on me, you know, like trying to have Sunday lunch and ending up sleeping for like 3 hours on a chair next to everyone having lunch, because I just was that, like, the chronic fatigue was that bad that I could just pass out in the middle of nowhere. Like, my mum used to joke about being in the car with me and I'd go to sleep and she could just stop the car and do a Sainsbury's shop and get back in, and I wouldn't even wake up. Like, I just hadn't really admitted that that's what it was. And I realised how bad it was that night, and that I was never going to live the life that I wanted to live. And to be fair, I didn't know what life I wanted to live either, who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. It's not like I had this really clear career plan or life plan, but I just knew that anything that I thought I maybe could have done in the future wasn't going to happen if I stayed on that current trajectory. And I just went to Google and I was Googling natural healing, alternative healing, people healing from chronic diseases, kind of anything under that iteration. And I came across all sorts of different people who had all sorts of different conditions, all of whom had used facets of changing their diets. And that's what's really looking at the time. Elements of their lifestyle, but I was really focused on diet at this point. It was really focused on the physical healing. And I was so inspired by their stories, and I just felt I had